Welcome to LyFiveElements, where we are dedicated to sharing the wisdom of traditional Chinese metaphysics with the world. Our mission is to teach complex subjects like the four pillars of destiny, also known as Bazi, Qi Feng Shui, and more, in simple, easy to understand English. Subscribe and share our content to help spread this ancient knowledge. Your support is what drives us forward. We also offer personalized one-on-one consultations to guide you on your metaphysical journey. Feel free to leave a comment or contact us directly for more information. Thank you for being part of our community. Hello everyone, I'm Maureen. Welcome to our intermediate course on Bazi analysis. Before we begin, make sure to watch my basic course videos if you haven't already. You will require the concepts from the basic course in order to understand the concepts from the intermediate course. Today is the second lesson, where we will share how to use the Bazi to see the buildings around a person's place of birth, where they grew up and what kinds of buildings are around them. So, we know that a person's Bazi is not just a simple set of 8 characters. Each character represents certain objects and buildings. Now, how do we interpret this? First, everyone needs to understand one thing, which is the issue of direction in Bazi. When we look at the map, it's north is up, south is down, west left, and east right, as we have all learned in elementary school. However, when it comes to Bazi, it's exactly the opposite. It's north, south, east, and west. It's completely opposite to what we are used to. This is something to be aware of. It takes some time to adapt to the directions in Bazi because they're exactly the opposite to what we are used to. Secondly, there's the issue of the birthplace and current residence. Some people are born in one place but later move away, or they change houses and move to another location. These are different scenarios. When we use Bazi to analyze the surroundings of the birthplace, we can obtain the imagery by examining the heavenly stems and earthly branches, which reveal what objects are present in the vicinity. However, when it comes to the current residence, it's crucial that a person has lived there for more than 3 years for that personal energy to affect the surroundings. Therefore, you should develop a habit of asking the individual how long they have been living in their current residence. If they say less than 3 years, then the analysis of the current residence is unreliable. In this case, we can only analyze the surroundings of their birthplace during childhood. However, if they have lived in their current residence for more than 3 years, then their personal energy will influence the objects around them, and we can analyze the surroundings of their current residence accordingly. Now, let's delve into the imagery represented by the heavenly stems. Jia, representing wood, it signifies plants, trees, and wooden structures. Yi, also representing wood, it indicates vegetation, forest, and grassy areas. Bing, representing fire, it symbolizes heat, light, and fiery structures. Ting, also representing fire, it suggests warmth, illumination, and fiery objects. Wu, signifying earth, it represents soil, land, and earthly structures. Ji, also representing earth, it indicates stability, grounding, and earthly objects. Geng, representing metal, it signifies metal objects, machinery, and metallic structures. Xin, also representing metal. It suggests sharpness, precision, and metallic items. Ren, signifying water. It represents bodies of water, rivers, and water-related structures. Gui, also representing water. It indicates fluidity, adaptability, and water-based objects. Now, let's delve into the imagery represented by the earthly branches. Zi, symbolizing water. It suggests water-related objects, fluidity and receptivity. Chou, representing earth. It signifies stability, grounding, and earthly structures. Yin, signifying wood. It indicates plants, trees, and wooden structures. Mao, also representing wood. It suggests growth, expansion, and wooden objects. Chen, representing earth. It signifies soil, land, and earthly structures. Si, signifying fire. It represents heat, light, and fiery structures. Wu, also representing fire. It suggests warmth, illumination, and fiery objects. Wei, symbolizing earth. It indicates stability, grounding, and earthly objects. Shen, representing metal. It signifies metal objects, machinery, and metallic structures. Yo, also representing metal. It suggests sharpness, precision, and metallic items. Shi, signifying earth. It represents soil, land, and earthly structures. Hai, symbolizing water. It indicates bodies of water, rivers, and water-related structures. Understanding these representations helps in interpreting the surroundings based on the Bazi of an individual. Each of them represents certain objects and imagery. Let's log into a charting software and randomly generate a Bazi. Before we proceed, please ensure that everyone understands the orientation of the Bazi. Up is south, down is north, left is east, and right is west. Here, we have a Jia and a Yin. What does Jia represent? It represents forest. What about Yin? Yin also represents forest. So you can clearly deduce that to the west of his home is a forest. Regarding the place where he grew up, Shen represents a road, indicating that there is a road to the north of his home. What does Chou represent? Chou represents temples, ancestral graves, ponds, and cesspools. Recall that Chou has hidden stem Gui, which means Chou contains water. It represents things with water and soil, such as ponds, cesspools, and wells. Additionally, Chou also represents graveyards. So, to the northeast, where he lived during his childhood, there is a graveyard, pond, well, or temple. What about Yi? Yi represents grass and flowers, lower than human height, indicating a grassland or crop field where relatively small trees are present. You can also infer that it's a park with many trees. What does Zi mean? Zi represents ditches, wells, and small streams. As Zi also contains Gui water, it represents small bodies of water. The well can also be interpreted as a sewer because Gui's imagery is a ditch. which can be a sewer. The two Wu above represent tall buildings, open spaces, and mountains. So you can deduce that around his birthplace there are such objects. Everyone can compare their own surroundings where they were born and grew up with this chart. As you progress in learning, especially towards the end, memorization becomes essential. In the beginner course of learning to read Bazi, I try to simplify complex things and make simple things interesting. But as you progress, the content becomes more extensive. So it's good to take notes for later inference, for later reference rather than trying to memorize everything. When you use them frequently, you will gradually become more proficient. Now, I don't rely on the tables anymore. Basically, when I look at the Bazi, I can give a fairly accurate assessment. I can tell roughly what items or features were present in someone's childhood home. Another issue is that sometimes when you are making assessments for others, you might find that some of your assessments aren't accurate. For example, Ping represents the sun. Can you accurately determine which direction in someone's home has the sun? That's not possible. So it's better to avoid making such assertions. Similarly, Thing represents light. You can't say there are lights in someone's home. Almost every home has lights. So try to focus on some precise assessments. This requires your own analysis and continuous validation of which assessments are the most accurate. For example, Jia and Yin absolutely represents trees, tall ones that are higher than human height. And Ji represents soil or depression. Once, I was analyzing a client's parts and I told them there was a depression in a certain direction of their home. They said there wasn't, and I insisted asking them to send me a video. It turned out that the roof of the house opposite to theirs had been damaged, creating a depression. I told them, see, isn't there a depression in that direction? It all turned out to be true, but sometimes there might be slight variations in the interpretation. For example, Geng represents a tall metallic object. It could be interpreted as a transmission tower, an antenna pole, or a tall metallic framework. Anything tall and metallic embodies the essence of Geng. So it's crucial to apply interpretations flexibly. Practice and analyze more for others. Don't be afraid of making mistakes at the beginning. Even I used to make mistakes often, but I developed a habit of asking for feedback after each analysis. I would inquire if what I said had about an 80% accuracy rate. Often, they would say about 85% was correct. And they would point out the remaining 15% where I was off. Over time, I refined my interpretations to become more accurate. I hope today's sharing can be helpful to everyone. Don't miss out. Hit subscribe and share to join us on this incredible journey of discovery. Your support fuels our passion to keep creating. Any questions or need personalized guidance? Leave us a comment or get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for being part of the LY5Elements family. If anything is unclear, feel free to drop a comment below. I would love to discuss and explore these topics with you. And for those of you who want to understand your Bazi chart but find the learning process too complicated, you can always message me for a one-on-one consultation. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Your support truly motivates me to keep sharing this knowledge. See you in the next lesson.